welcome back to the Travel People Podcast. It's your boy JV here in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Join me on another exciting episode with our guest, Anthony DiFilippo, a cruise planner's travel agent in the South Jersey, Greater Philly area. Now, Anthony of the Seas, he's going to share with us why he stands out in the cruising world. So sit back and relax and join us for another great episode with your host, Juan Velasquez, on the Travel People Podcast. Hey, Anthony, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
So, Anthony, before we get started here, I've gone ahead and introduced the audience, but you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and what makes you the premier travel advisor in South Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. That sounds really like I'm really important, but that's great. Yeah, I've been as a travel advisor last 8 years, probably the last 6 years I've been with cruise planners. Prior to that, I was really helping with a small kind of mom and pop travel agency that a friend of mine owned, and it was basically because I knew a lot about cruising, and she said, "Hey, why don't you join me?" So I said, "Why not?" So it kind of started there, and then she moved away, and I almost took over that agency, and I met my current franchise owner. I met him actually on a cruise, and I talked to him a little bit and kind of compared owning my own kind of mom and pop, small travel agency versus joining Cruise Planner. So there were so many advantages with that I uh, took the leap to start with Cruise Planners. But it's really part time for me, and it kind of is a great, they say if you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. So I work full time for TD Bank as a project manager, and this is part time, but I feel like this is the part of work that I love to do. So it's really awesome. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool because I myself consider myself a entrepreneur hustler, right? So it sounds like that's what you're doing on the side. And being that we're both from Jersey, as a matter of fact, my producer is from Jersey too. So, well,
All
actually,
right.
originally born in New York, so I got to get it right. But I believe Irvington, New Jersey. But
Yeah.
you know, we have that hustler mentality where our entrepreneurship capabilities go a little bit higher than most people. So, about that, tell us about how you became just an all well-rounded individual with content creation. You're a great cinematographer. You're an amazing photographer. I mean, I've been looking at some of your stuff since I came on board as a cruise planner. So tell us a little
Thanks.
bit about why and what inspired you. When that start?
That's funny. I happen to have a camera right here next. It's always next to me. I'm babies over here. But kind of, you say entrepreneur, and I never feel like I am. However, people tell me that all the time, and that's how I got into photography. Kind
Mhm.
of a friend of mine and myself, this is back in the 80s when we were teenagers, that, we kind of got a camera. I got a camera for Christmas, I think, or for my birthday, which was around Christmas. And we just kind of, went out shooting stuff and kind of went into different interests that way. And that kind of led into many more years of upgrading cameras and doing things. Then when my wife and I had kids, we, started to take photos of their sporting events and things like that. And I kind of had people loving what I was doing with the sports capture and photography, that I started a small business with that, and which actually my son still carries on today, doing sports portraits. So really, a lot of, starting and like I said earlier, is doing what you love to do, and getting people to recognize that. said, oh, wow, I could actually do this for other people and make them happy. And
Yeah.
I can make a little money maybe. And, and that kind of led into a lot of things a lot of interests that I have. My friend that I just
Yeah.
talked about with photos, he has a hot air balloon. We started that when we were younger. I've been flying
So tell us
with
about that.
him. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that because I know you have this passion for hot air balloons. And I'm
Mhm.
going to go back to the videos in a second because I do want
Yeah.
to talk about a specific video. But tell
Yep.
us about how, because you have this, this kind of rounded career where you have hobbies that link to you can essentially link it to your travel business because you can
Yeah.
always entice folk to come over, right? And then you have all these other things. But tell us about your hobby because I've been looking at some of the things that you do. And first of all, they're kind of scary too. But they're exciting too. I mean, for someone who's afraid of heights, right? That's probably
Oh,
not something you want to
yeah.
do.
Well, it's funny. We've had people afraid of heights that get in the hot air balloon and say, "Wow, I didn't feel much of anything." However, if you're up high, obviously it gets a little scary. But balloons
Yeah,
in it, yeah,
I'll
balloons
be the
anymore.
one
Yeah,
shaking.
yeah. Well, balloons, the hot air balloons. You in this area, southern Jersey and closer to Philly, you can't go too high because the planes are coming by. Back in the 80s. Well, we started that in the 80s. And actually, if you think about it, it kind of links to photography too, because my friend and I saw hot air balloons in the fields of southern New Jersey, and we kind of follow them with our bikes, because we didn't drive yet. Took photos of it and kind of learn that this is a awesome thing that people are doing. They're giving
Mhm.
flights for other people, and we got to know the guys that run the organization. And we did what you don't want your kids to do nowadays is you know we'd follow them, we'd take photos, we'd help them break down the balloon after they were done, and then they'd drive us
Yeah.
home in their van, throw the bikes in the van, take you home. And mom and dad, where were we at? Nowhere, we were just riding our bikes.
Isn't that
So
great?
today,
You gotta love the '80s. You gotta miss that
yeah,
era. But
yeah, so
let me ask you a little bit about your video. You sent us over a really cool lightning video that you captured on your
yeah,
latest voyage on Royal Caribbean, which happens to be a cruise line that you have a certain bucket list, right?
yep,
So what's going
yeah,
on with that?
yeah. The well, Royal Caribbean, I kind of, like I said, when I got into the whole travel planning portion, I was already on a bunch of Royal Caribbean cruises and I loved it. And I eventually looked and said, "Wow, I've been on 5 cruise ships, and they have 20 to 25 to 28 right now, 27, something like that." So right now, at this point today, I've been on 20 of the I think
Wow.
27 um,
Wow.
cruise ships for Royal Caribbean. I have two more coming, so we'll be
So,
coming on.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if
next.
Royal Caribbean is listening right now, we got, your next, I guess, a godfather of the next trip. You know how
That'd
we
be
put
nice.
up the godmother, right? So we'll get you on as the godfather for the next ship. I don't
Yeah,
even know if they do a godfather, but hey, whatever. But so what was it about Royal though? What was it that helped you decide? Was it just previous experiences? Or and how do you use that now to your advantage to sell to your clients?
yeah. It's just kind of fell into place, and then I have this ability to, as we have this ability now to kind of um, target on certain cruise ships. So yeah, I kind of have a quest, so I try to focus on that, and that has helped because. And even just this past weekend, when a client was asking, "Hey, I see maybe it was, I think they said Carnival versus Utopia of the Seas," and I said, "Oh wait, Utopia of the Seas," and they said it's about the same rate. So I gave them some quotes, but anyway, Utopia came in, around the same rate as another ship, another cruise line. So I said, "Oh, you have to go on Utopia. I'm going on that next month. It's inaugural. It's brand new ship. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be the second largest ship in the world." And I just started rattling off, talking to them, and they're like, "Wow, you know a lot about this." I was like, they can see the passion, right? They can. catch on to that right away, and they just, oh, I want to do that. So
Yeah.
that's what I that's what I when it starts to click and you just start talking. I know you talk a lot about Virgin Voyage, and I love that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I actually have my red glasses right here. Let me put
There
all
you
of
go.
them.
Shout out to Tracy Aldridge, who was our
Yeah,
first guest. So thank you very much, Tracy Aldridge with Virgin Voyages and BDM. Hey, as we're shouting
yeah,
people out real quick, let me just let people know that our show is being sponsored by Carolina Outdoor Clothing. Carolina Outdoor Clothing is a brand new company that was started by a good friend of mine, Ernesto Hernandez, here in the Carolinas, and the product will launch in June sometime. So be on the lookout for Carolina Outdoor Clothing. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram right now. So you have this really cool lightning video that you sent me, and it's 9 seconds long. And I'm a geek for weather. There's something about the weather, and I've always wanted to be like the weatherman that captures, the
yeah,
video of the lightning storm that's in the distance. But you did it at sea.
yeah,
That is unbelievable. How about that? What
yeah.
inspired you? What was that moment? What was it? What made you do this?
Yeah, it was really. We came back to the balcony cabin on Symphony of the Seas just a few weeks ago, and my experience, like I mentioned with photography, we went out onto the balcony and saw in the distance a kind of a what I would call like a thermal lightning storm in the sky, but not, you're at sea, so it's not really reaching anywhere, right? I think we were close to the Bahamas, so we were leaving the Bahamas at the time, Nassau. Um, and my history of 35, 40 years of photography and trying to capture lightning on land with a tripod, and you're trying to do this, and nothing is ever compared to what I captured here a few weeks ago. And I kind of slowed it down a little bit. That 9 seconds is even slower than normal, right? It was a long, well, maybe 30 seconds, and I
Yeah,
slowed it down a little bit. So just
super
to be
cool.
able to, it'll show better that way, and you'll see it. It's amazing. I think that's a once in a lifetime. I'm not going to be able to ever reproduce that situation again. So it's something that people should check out and enjoy. So it's
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely. I'm hoping that those of who are listening will go on YouTube and go watch the channel and follow the channel and be able to see this. Of course, you can also see it on Spotify or listen to. But I thought, man, I have been a passionate cinematographer, and this is on my bucket list of those things that I've said, yeah, I got to get this on video. And the thought of being out on the balcony, though, in the dark, and it
Yeah,
was a testament also to the fact that cruise lines understand how to maneuver around a storm.
yeah,
And then another testament to the fact that if it rains, there's always something great to do or see on board.
right.
So what do you do? You've been doing this for a long time. So you've been on Royal. I love Royal. I have friends that work on the Indy of the Sea. So shout out to the
Mhm.
Independence of the Seas. I
Yeah,
actually have clients getting on this week.
that's one of
So,
the ships I have not been on. Believe it or not.
oh, really? Hey, I got one up.
Yeah, that's right. Second Godfather.
Yeah, that'll be your next ship then. But tell me, what are some of the things that people should be doing and looking for when it does rain? Like when they're like, "Oh boy, it's raining." Tell
Yeah,
tell me about that.
we're always uh we're always looking for something to do inside, but the ships are amazing now. My friend talks about when I went on a honeymoon, I don't want to go on a cruise again because they're, I'm afraid. No, look at the ships from 20 years ago and today. We talk about Utopia of the Seas that's coming out next month.
Hmm.
There's, like, you almost don't even have to go out. If it was raining the whole time during your 4 day, 7 day, you could stay in and have enough. There's ice skating, there's shows, different theaters, there's even the aqua theater out back of the certain ships. we were on Symphony of the Seas recently, like I mentioned, and it was raining and the show was
Mhm.
going on, but partial people were where the people sit, it was kind of covered. So it was like a light rain. So they still did most of the show. And so we just were amazed at that. But there's so much to do inside as well. That's just, it's a city. Like people say that it's a city at sea, right? So yeah, we're always looking for the different activities to do, and there's plenty to do. And there's part you probably have to go on it again because you didn't see everything or do everything.
That's the other thing right now that with Royal especially, their cruise line, set the standards for the new size, right?
Yeah.
They came out with the Utopia, the Wonder, and these ships are grandiose. I mean, they're not just
Mhm.
ships; they're moving cities, like you said. Literally, I mean, they're probably the size of Rhode Island.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, being from Jersey, you always gotta, pick on the little guys up north. Um,
I'm closer to Delaware. It's probably bigger than Delaware. Yeah.
it probably is, right? You could walk across Delaware, and that's the size of Utopia of the Seas. But
Yeah.
they've really set the standards, and Royal Caribbean has made the industry pivot. And we were talking about pivot in my first episode. Well, with Royal, they've pivoted. So what are some of the things that you've seen from the years of sailing that have pivoted from dining options to other inclusions that are on board?
Yeah, the evolution of Royal Caribbean since I've been sailing on them, 2003, my first sailing on a Serenade of the Seas. It's true. They have done a lot, and they've adjusted based on clients. I can tell that some things that maybe needed work that we saw in a prior ship in a future ship. It's better, right? So that's why I even love to go on the newest of Royal Caribbean if we focus right on Royal Caribbean. So I'm so excited to get on to Utopia this season. They have a restaurant that simulates you being in a
Oh
train
wow.
car. So the screens on the sides of the walls are going to be like the windows in the train car, and you're going to go to a different station, and you're going to have a meal that is, links to that wherever you're at in the world or whatever that country is. I should know more details, but I'll know more details next month when I get there. But each stop is a different country, if you will, a different theme, and then the food matches that theme, and then you go to the next place, and it feels like you're moving, and that's all in a cruise ship that you can sit out at a specialty dining restaurant. It'll have a fee to it, but of course, because not all 6,000 people can get in that restaurant, so it's a fee to kind of reserve it. But I'm looking forward to at least walking through that because I'm sure all of us are not going to be able to experience it. But yeah, so many different things. They've changed dining through different ships. They've changed the venues and added venues, and it's great to see the evolution of it. I always try to recommend the newer ships because of that, but the older ships as well. They're renovating them every 5 years in dry dock, right? Changing them and updating them. So it's
Yep.
it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. I've enjoyed watching the changes, and as people come back to sail after COVID, and they realize, oh, wait a minute, these are not our parents' cruises anymore. These are like our cruises. These are brand new. These are different.
Right.
These, I mean, I can, slide down some, you know, thing and splash onto the deck
Yeah.
below. And it's just so amazing how many things between zip lines and um,
Hmm.
bumper cars and racetracks and roller coasters and so many
Right.
things that they've managed to put on a cruise ship. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But Anthony, as we move along, there's another Anthony really quick. I want to give a shout out to. He's not someone that I'm associated to as a friend, but it's someone that I follow and have admired. And I want to give a quick shout out before we wrap up. And he's another Anthony, and he goes by Nobody Cares Anthony. And Nobody Cares Anthony is starting a podcast. So be sure to look out for Nobody Cares Anthony podcast. He's a comedian. He is outrageous. He is great. He's sincere. He's got a good story too. He's a good person. And I think everybody should be watching him. Hence the gear. I'm wearing his merch, and his whole spiel is about misspelled vernaculars all over the world, things that are posted in signs or at supermarkets or wherever you go. And you just sit there on watching these reels. It's great. But Anthony, tell us why people should be booking with cruise planners, but specifically why they should be booking with a travel advisor.
Yeah, yeah. It's I had a recent prospective client ask the same thing, and I said, "Why not?" No, but
Right?
I heard this recently, and I haven't really used this too much. But if you think about it, if you book direct, you're paying a fee anyway, right?
Hmm.
It's the commission that a cruise line would pay a travel advisor. You're paying that anyway, so why not get a travel advisor to help you with the experience? Like just me, for example, with Royal Caribbean being on 20 of the ships, I could tell you, you might see a sale for a ship, and it might be a ship that doesn't have all those things that you want to do with your family. And you get on the ship, or you see the ship, you see Serenade of the Seas that I went on in 2003 next to Utopia of the Seas, and you say, wow, Serenade is this big, Utopia is this big. I wish I didn't book that myself. I wish somebody could have told me that. So
Right.
I'll do that all the time. Not that I want to upsell people, hey, get, Utopia of the Seas, but it could be a close price difference, right? So why not get the big new ship with all the things? So, there's a lot of advantages for having a travel advisor. People can text me at any time usually, which is sometimes on the weekends daunting, but it's good, right? It's good to help them, and you treat them like family. I try to treat them like family, like what I would want when I was trying to figure out what cruise line to go on or what ship to go on. And like I said, that fee is built in anyway. We have direct connection to our business development managers, our BDMs. I have a great BDM, Jeannie Robertson, from Royal Caribbean, that I can go to if there happens to be some kind of issue that I can't resolve. I'll kind of connect with her, and she gives me good guidance on what to do, and she can help that way. You kind of leave money on the table too, because most of these Royal
Hmm.
Caribbean sailings, we have $50 on board credit, which could be doubled if it's over 6 months away. At least that. We have group rates for a lot of sailings when it's nowadays, since cruising's so popular. When you book far in advance, 9 to 12 months, we usually have a lot of those group cabins available. I mean, I could keep going. We have direct login right into Royal Caribbean, right?
Right.
Someone booking themselves, if they wanted to call and say, "Oh, I booked two cabins. I want to link them for dining." I have to call. And maybe I'll have to wait a few minutes, and I'll talk to somebody. But hey, text me. I can fix that for you. I can log right into the system. You don't have to wait on hold. And so I don't want to downplay any agent at a cruise line, but you can talk to someone that's at a call center that's never been on a cruise before, or you could talk
Mhm.
to me,
Right.
right?
Right.
Actually,
And
I talk
and
to a lot of the reps sometimes, and I tell them, and I even give them my direct email address, anthonyoftheseas@gmail.com. They love that. So, it's cool. Hey, have you been on a ship? No, I haven't. Oh, I've been on 20 of them. So, it's fun. It's a
so
fun thing. Yeah.
so yeah, I love that because you mentioned something that I think everyone that comes on this show that sells any kind of product, whether it's a resort or a cruise or theme park, whatever it is that they're going to come on and talk about, whether they're the direct source component provider or a travel agent, they're going to say, yeah, booking with a travel agent um, will avoid you from leaving money on the table. And verbatim, I mean, that is exactly what people are saying. And I've been using that line, as part of my sales pitch. And I've found that it's no longer a sales pitch; it's a reality. And the
Right.
more and more people understand the value behind what we do, especially at Cruise Planners, we have an amazing resource at home office. And then for you, you have a team that's connected. So as we're wrapping up, tell us about your team that you're associated with and how
Mhm.
people can get in contact with you directly so that they can book travel.
Yeah. Yeah. Our franchise, I mentioned Russ at the top. That's our franchise owner that I met on the cruise and joined in on the franchise. But Russell Travel Team is our team. We now have, we have a few more associates like myself as being an associate. So I think we're up to six or so associates, right? So
You guys had a
it's a great
milestone
team.
too recently, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You guys had a milestone.
yeah. If you think about it, there's 2,500 franchises in the company at least, right? That's the minimum, I think. And we came up as 15, number 15 this past month. So we're we're selling a lot, and just cruising is a very popular thing right now. And actually, we started doing monthly meetings, which helps us to share information back and forth. I know a lot about Royal Caribbean, but I may not know a lot about Princess Cruise Lines, so I get that from my fellow colleagues on the team. So it's great. It's great info sharing that's only going to help our clients that we build in our databases. So yeah, it's great. And then I go by Anthony of the Seas on my. You've probably seen this, Anthony of the Seas,
Yeah, there you go.
on my social media. That's people can get a hold of me there if you go to Facebook and Instagram. Anthony of the Seas. You talked about the content I like to do um, when I'm on cruises or just sharing Royal Caribbean's information or sharing Virgin Voyages information on those Facebook pages. I love doing that. I get some great interaction with potential clients or no, not clients, or people just love cruising. So, like I said, that's stuff I love to do, like the photography, like the hot air ballooning. So it just keeps you happy during the day, which is what's needed, I think. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely something to do next time I'm back up in Jersey, which will probably be sooner than I think. I have a class reunion of sorts. But Anthony, I want to thank you for coming on and talking with us on our second episode of the Travel People podcast. Of course, on this podcast, the host, I am a cruise planner as well as you, and we love our product very, very much. We
Yeah.
understand that our value is the commitment to our clients, on and beyond, and resolving anything that we can resolve for them or fulfilling anything that we can fulfill for them. And we have a great team at home office. We have great partners, as you mentioned, on our show today that help us provide those inclusive items that they might be missing, whether it's a cruise, a resort, or wherever they're traveling in the world. So, Anthony, we truly appreciate you. And if you want to get in contact with Anthony, make sure you visit his social media platforms, or you can contact me directly at 803-280-4727. And again, this show is about promoting our travel advisors and promoting the products that we sell as travel advisors. And Anthony is that, and he is excellent. He is a professional. And I will tell you right now, if you call his office, he's definitely going to take care of you like your family. So, Anthony, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And with that, I'm going to give you a little applause. Oh, wait, that's not an applause. Little joke of the day. So, I had to throw that in there. So, Anthony, any last parting words?
Thank you very much. You're awesome too. We met at the Cruise Planners Convention a couple years ago, then again last year, and that's a place where we gather with everybody from home office and our fellow people around the U.S. And it's great camaraderie and great team, as you said. So yeah, thank you guys very much. Thank you, Juan. I appreciate it. Some awesome stuff. I love your photography and video as well. So
Appreciate that.
I'll keep in
Appreciate
touch
that.
with you, obviously.
Definitely, definitely. And one quick shout out again, one last one to Juju Lee Events at Women Worth and Weddings. That's another podcast. If you're planning a wedding, you should probably be doing some surfing around and trying to find who the best wedding planner is. Just go to them. Follow their podcasts. I believe they're on Spotify or anywhere they stream podcasts. So follow them up. All right, that wraps it up. Thank you for being part of our second episode. And thank you all for listening. And this is it. See you next time. Peace.
Thank you. Take care.